Hello everyone, I'm Cole from the Kingdom, and today we are reviewing Portal Stories Mel. Now for my reviews, I'm going to start with mostly spoiler-free talk, and whether or not I think you should play it. After that, we'll get into a more detailed spoiler-full review. I will give you warning before that happens, so if you want to play the game without spoilers, you have a chance to get out and come back later. So let's get started. In Portal Stories Mel, you play as Mel, an Olympian from back when Aperture was still under construction and before they went bankrupt. You've been selected as a test subject for some science. The voice actor here does a passable impression of J.K. Simmons, about as good as I could expect for someone who is not J.K. Simmons, and the humor is absolutely Portal humor. In some mods, the whole tone feels like a departure from the work it's based on, but this feels totally natural and almost like a love letter to the original, while also being its own unique thing that feels like a perfect addition to the established world. Also, you start on a tram reminiscent of Half-Life. Like I said, a love letter. In the main gameplay, you get an early prototype of what would become the portal gun, but it functions exactly the same way. But it is a great unique look that constantly reminds you who and where you are, and why. You meet a highly memorable new core character, and the antagonist is super creative. I'm extremely impressed that they were able to make a full story, set in Aperture Science, with fewer characters than I have fingers on my hand. I'm impressed by that in the base Portal games too, but I feel like the Portal Stories team had even more work to do to make it all work, and they nailed it. And because this is Portal, of course the main gameplay is puzzles, and they're all pretty great. I wouldn't have been able to design half of these. I have no idea how puzzle makers do their jobs, but again, I'm impressed. So do I think you should play this game? Absolutely, it is so good. So that'll do it for the spoiler-free part of the discussion. Now we'll get into the fine details. I hereby give you 5 seconds to leave. So if you're sticking around, I assume that means you've already played the game, or you don't care about the spoilers, but still want to hear me talk about it. Either way, I appreciate you. Now since this is my first review like this, I need your help. How much detail do you want me to go into? I could give you guys a play-by-play summary of the game and story, or I can keep it to broad strokes and just talk about the major bits and what you need to understand them. Here I'm going to lean towards the latter, mainly just because I think that fits the game better, but seriously let me know what you all prefer. So let's get into it. The game starts with you on a train heading to the still under construction Aperture Science Innovators, with the giant test spheres being built in the old salt mines. You see a ton of scientists and stuff, but unfortunately you don't get to interact with them. So you head to the bottom of the facility and take the world's most expensive nap in an experimental suspended animation thing. Turns out, surprisingly, it worked, but you were in there a lot longer than you were supposed to be, and now, yeah. A voice that is clearly not Cave Johnson, even this game's impressionist version, is pretending to be Cave Johnson and lead you out. You later find it's a damaged core named Virgil. Honestly, he's got a delightful personality. Not like Wheatley at all, just naturally a fun and interesting character. But I'm especially impressed here because Virgil amazingly does have a character arc, where he starts off very arrogant or maybe just short-tempered. I'm not quite sure what the word is, but he's constantly blaming you for stuff that isn't your fault and overestimating his own abilities. And then he grows to become a real partner and team player. That's so cool that not only do they have this super interesting companion to your mute character, and he not only manages to carry most of the story on his back, but he also has a full arc with only 2 other characters to interact with, one of which doesn't talk at all and the other is a pure robot. He helps you out of old Aperture and up to the GLaDOS era test chambers, but you find out something called Aegis is trying to pump up the acid from old Aperture to flood the whole facility. And it's tracking you as a specific target. By the way, this takes place between the 2 main games. The test chambers are really well designed, and most of the clean ones are explained as having been made by Virgil himself. And the story up to this point, again, has just been super interesting and engaging. It constantly makes me want to play more of the game, which is pretty much exactly what I want from a story. The writing and narrative design are excellent. They deserve jobs at Valve. The voice actor for Virgil, too. So since Aegis is tracking you as an organic life form, Virgil has the idea to take you to the overgrown test chambers to hide your organic signature among the plants. It works, but you still need to progress through the chambers to eventually reach Aegis and take him down. That's when you get the big reveal. He was really trying to kill GLaDOS. He was trying to finish the job after what Chale did. Damn, I love plot twists like that. Mad props to everyone involved. Well, you shut Aegis down, and Virgil gets you out of the facility. It's really awesome seeing the town you started in completely run down, since this is after the events of Half-Life 2, I think. The game only touches on this, but everyone Mel knew and loved would now be dead for decades, even if the world wasn't screwed by the Combine. I wonder if that fact was eating away at her through the game, or if it hit her like a truck after escaping. But either way, I want to know what happens next. Half-Life 3, anyone? I desperately want more Portal stories, too. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I could go into more detail and specificity about what I liked, but I don't want to waste your time. The game is great, go play it. So that'll do it for this review. Again, let me know what you guys want to see. Do you want more detail? Do you want these to be longer or shorter? And what would you like me to review going forward? I think I'm going to stick to fan-made games since they don't get as much coverage, but I could branch out to more obscure indie games too if I like them enough. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to comment and like. I'll see you later.